James Harden does it again. I don't know how many times James Harden needs to prove the narrative wrong that he is not a choke job. The most criticized player in NBA history for his playoff performances is James Harden, the most criticized MVP in NBA history for his choke jobs in the playoffs. What I'm here to tell you is James Harden is not a choke job, and that's a media narrative that you've been lied to about. Let me give you the facts on James Harden and what yesterday proved in his Game 7 victory over the Detroit Pistons and Cade Cunningham. And listen, they just beat a number 1 seed. The media narrative for the whole season has been James Harden doesn't show up in the big moments, and Donovan Mitchell hasn't made it to Eastern Conference Finals, and Donovan Mitchell hasn't showed up in the past, but the man averaged 39 points per game last season in the playoffs against the Indiana Pacers. Make that make sense for a man who doesn't show up. Darius Garland had a toe injury, and he showed that he's soft as butter pecans, and then Jared Allen and what's his name, Aaron Eblin Mobley, he fucking didn't show up because he had an injury as well. He didn't show up either, along with Donovan Mitchell, to get the job done. He was playing with a hurt team, and he still averaged 39 because he freaking had to. And the narrative never stops on James Harden. I just watched on First Take this morning, Kendrick Perkins literally said that what James Harden and the Cavaliers did against the Detroit Pistons yesterday wasn't impressive, and it just doesn't mean anything, and that they were under the most pressure. What do you mean? Like, I swear, Kendrick Perkins, shut your fat ass up. I swear, you just be talking for no reason, bro. Like, listen, James Harden, if you recall, he came back from a 3-1 deficit against the Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, JJ Redick Clippers that was expected to win a championship in their tenure together. He came back down 3-1 in Houston against the Clippers in 2015. How was that for not being clutch? In Game 1 against the Golden State Warriors in 2018, he dropped 41 points in Game 1. How was that for not being clutch? Like, dude, the narrative on James Harden is so insane. They say he's not clutch. They say he doesn't show up in big moments. And then they're going to say, oh, well, he only made 2 field goals and he only had 9 points in that Game 7 yesterday. Well, let me show you something that didn't show up in your stat sheet yesterday. James Harden was plus minus 31. Plus minus 31. Plus 31 on the floor. Do you know what plus minus means? That means that when this man was on the floor, he generated 31 points for his offense just by being on the floor. James Harden was a plus 31. So when James Harden stepped on the NBA court yesterday in the Game 7, he generated 31 points by being on the floor. Come on, what are we talking about here? And then he had assists, he had rebounds. What are we talking about? James Harden ain't clutch. Do you know how many times this man has finished second in MVP? It's like 3 times. And not only 3 times, but you know who he finished twice to in MVP that I could think of right off the top of my head? Giannis, Steph, and Steph. 3 times. Steph won unanimous MVP, and then the year before he won MVP, and Steph didn't even lead the league in scoring that year. James Harden did, and yet Steph still won the MVP over him. James Harden has finished in the MVP voting at least 3 times I could just think of right off the top of my head. Finished second to Giannis, then he finished second to Curry 2 times. Like, what are we talking about here? You guys have been fed a bunch of nonsense on the James Harden narrative. Chris Broussard, Nick Wright, telling the Cavaliers don't trade for James Harden. And then they went ahead and traded for him, and then he acts all shocked. Oh my God, I didn't want the Cavaliers to trade for James Harden. I put out a video saying James Harden is complete garbage throughout his whole career. And I'm shocked they traded for James Harden. You know what they was giving up? They was giving up Jarius Garland, who sat out against the freaking Indiana Pacers last year because of a toe injury. Softer than Charmin, boy. Like, that stuff is just insane. You would rather take Jarius Garland than James Harden, an MVP? James Harden has led the league in assists. He has transformed his game. He was the most prolific scorer in the game for about 5 years, and then he transitioned into the most prolific passer in the game, because that's not what teams called for him to do anymore. Come on, y'all. We need to stop this narrative. And Stephen A. Smith, I got to give you credit. You gave room for James Harden to change your mind about the narrative. At least Stephen A. Smith is willing to have his mind changed about the narrative on James Harden. Respect to you, my brother, and much love for what you're doing. But Nick Wright, Chris Broussard, y'all some hating ass motherfuckers, and y'all need to be called out for keep on hating on James Harden. Y'all need to stop. This man is an MVP, finished second MVP 3 times. And not only that, he had the best team of all time down 3-2. If Chris Paul hadn't got hurt, who knows what happens? He would have an NBA championship. This man is a 6th man of the year on the Oklahoma City Thunder, helped them get to the NBA Finals. This man has been to 4 conference finals now. 3 with Houston, now 1 with Cleveland. Come on, y'all. This narrative has got to stop about James Harden. Y'all keep disrespecting this man like he ain't a great player. This man is one of the greatest players basketball has ever seen. Come on, man. Stop this nonsense with y'all narrative about him. This man has been to 4 conference finals and 1 NBA finals. Now, I hope he makes it again to the NBA Finals. Now, whoever he faces coming out of the West, that's going to be a tough matchup. That's going to be a tough matchup. But stop this narrative. Stop it. Y'all know what y'all doing. Y'all lying on this man's name. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button. And let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. We out this shit. Peace.